I want to tell you about something that happened back in 2013. It's a cautionary tale, really. It was shared by a man named Shonka, and it's all about how a so-called joke between some college students just spiraled into this unbelievable tragedy. A tragedy that ended up destroying two lives in ways that were completely different, but just equally devastating. So yeah, this goes way beyond just a simple story about bullying. It's really about that one moment, when a line gets crossed and there's no going back. And the consequences that followed, they were haunting. So let's just dive in right from the beginning. Okay, so the story really revolves around four students. We've got Sonam, who's described as just a really kind, gentle soul. And then there's this group of guys who are supposed to be his friends. That includes our narrator, Chandra, another guy named Krishna, and the one who is pretty much the leader of the whole, a guy named Dawa. And right away, you can see how messed up this whole thing was. On one hand, you have Sonam. He was, a little different from the other boys. More introverted, super kind, and really all he wanted was to fit in and have some friends. But the group, they saw this as an opportunity. They basically pretended to be his best friends, and honestly, it was mostly because Sonam was really popular with the girls on campus. They saw him as their ticket, their day in. So to his face, it was all smiles and friendship, but the second he turns back, he was the butt of every single one of their jokes. And these weren't just one-off things either. Just nice. They'd invite him over to the room, shout him with all his cool praise, and he would make him dance for the meeting. They would totally manipulate his trust, preying on his desperate need for friendship, all for a cheap laugh. And of course, they'd always tell him, hey, it's all in good fun, while at the same time, they were just tearing him down to literally everyone else on campus. So this toxic routine just between me and him. But one night, things were about to take a much, much darker turn. So I was hanging out in the room. He truly believed these guys were his friends. And in that moment, he decided to trust this incredible soul. Can you even imagine the courage that took? In this environment that was, let's be honest, already so hostile to him, Sonam just made himself completely vulnerable. He shared a secret he probably would love first for a long time. He confessed that he had a crush on Dewa, the group's ringleader. And the response, it was immediate. It was brutal. Dewa didn't just laugh. No, he started to physically taunt. That's the moment the line was crossed, going from just mean words to outright physical humiliation. And just like that, in an instant, that fragile trust was completely shattered. Sonam was devastated. He just fled the room. Dawa wasn't done, not even close. He took Sonam's incredibly private confession and turned it into public gossip. He told everyone. He twisted Sonam's moment of vulnerability into a campus-wide spectacle. And after that, the taunts followed Sonam everywhere he went. He became totally isolated. He stopped seeing anyone, started skipping his classes. He just withdrew completely into himself. You'd think that would be enough, right? Sonam was broken, isolated, but Dawa still wasn't satisfied. The cruelty was about to make its one final act of public degradation. This was the point of no return. So it happened one morning. Picture this. Sonam is just walking to class. The hallway is crowded, full of other students, and Dawa comes up from behind him and yanks his pants down in front of everyone. The humiliation was just absolute. Crying, screaming, Sonam pulled his pants back up and just fled to college. And that was it. That was the last time any of them ever saw him. So Sonam was just gone. He didn't come back for 1 month or the next. And that's when things get really strange. Because that very same night, back in the room with Daya, Chandra, and Krishna, something terrifying started to happen. And all of it seemed to be focused squarely on Dawa. Okay, so the first night, Dawa jumped all the way away, screaming that there's an earthquake. But nobody else felt a thing. A few minutes later, his friends find him just standing at the door, almost in a trance, just slowly and rhythmically banging his head against it. And when they snap him out of it, he has no memory of doing it at all. The next few nights just get worse. He's having severe sleep paralysis, terrible nightmares about being attacked. And then, the room starts to fill with a strange scent, the very specific perfume that Sonam always used to wear. And it wasn't just at night. Within a few days, the wall completely unlocked. His whole personality just broke. He became aggressive. He'd start laughing hysterically for no reason in the middle of class. They saw the his behavior got so alarming, so erratic, that the college really had no choice. They called his family and they needed him in. So, let's take stock. Dawa's been sent home, completely broken down. Sona is still missing. This is where the story comes to its truly tragic conclusion, where we find out the final awful price that was paid by both of them. About a week after that final incident, after Sonam fled, there was still no word. Yeah. So the college administration finally decided to call his family, probably just to ask why he hadn't been in class. I imagine they were expecting to hear he was sick, or maybe that he decided to drop out. But the truth was so much worse. Sonam never made it home. That very same day, he fled the college, totally distraught and humiliated. He was in a road accident, and he died. The bullying didn't just hurt his feelings. It directly led to his death. And there it is, the final tally. Sonam, the victim, lost his life. And Dawa, the bully, had a complete and permanent mental breakdown, haunted, it seems, by what he'd done. 2 young lives just destroyed. When I say permanent, I mean it. This wasn't something he just got over. Chandra, the narrator, shared this story 12 years after it all went down. And in all that time, Dawa never got better. His mind is frozen. He's a grown man, but he's living with a mind of a child. It's a story that really forces you to ask the tough question, right? So often, especially when we're young, cruelty gets dismissed as just a joke. But this devastating story shows just how terrifyingly thin that line is. The line between so-called prank and a life sentence for everyone involved.